Picture the last time you sat down to play a video game. The explosions, the shadows crawling across a wall, the rain catching light on a city street at midnight. None of that felt like the future, it felt like entertainment. But inside that gaming PC sat a chip that Nvidia built and that the rest of the world largely ignored for 30 years. That same chip is now the beating heart of ChatGPT. It powers the AI systems being built by Google, Meta, Amazon, and every sovereign government on the planet, racing to develop artificial intelligence. There is no generative AI without it. There is no modern data center without it. There is increasingly no technological future without it. Nvidia did not stumble into this position. They engineered it quietly, patiently, and at enormous risk, while Wall Street laughed at them. But here is where the story gets dangerous. Because the chip that now controls the future of global technology is manufactured in a single building, on a single island, sitting directly between two of the most powerful militaries on Earth. The year is 1993. 3 engineers, Jensen, Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Preem, sat down at a Denny's diner in San Jose. They're convinced of exactly one thing, and whoever builds the best visual processing engine first will win. They call the company Nvidia, and for the next 5 years, they're almost completely irrelevant. The 1990s PC graphics market is a war zone. Companies like 3DFX, ATI, and S3 are flooding the market with competing chips. Margins are thin, product cycles are brutal, and the cost of being wrong is measured in corporate extinction. Nvidia's first major product, the NV1, is a commercial disaster. By 1996, the company was burning cash so fast that they are weeks away from going under. Then something saves them: video games, specifically 3D video games. The release of titles like Quake creates a consumer demand that no existing chip can properly satisfy. Gamers need raw parallel processing power to render polygons, shadows, and movement in real time. They need exactly what Nvidia is learning to build. The River 128, shipped in 1997, is fast enough to rescue the company. Then in 1999, Nvidia released the GeForce 256, calling it the world's first GPU, and coined an entirely new product category. Within 2 years, they have absorbed their biggest rival, 3DFX, and established a dominant position in PC gaming. The company that nearly died in a Denny's booth is now the one writing the rules. By 2006, Nvidia was winning the graphics war. Jensen Huang is printing money on high-end gaming cards, and the rational move is obvious: defend the lead, cut costs, harvest the market. Jensen Huang does the opposite. In 2006, Nvidia released a piece of software called CUDA, Compute Unified Device Architecture. On the surface, it sounds like a developer tool. In practice, it is one of the most audacious bets in corporate history. CUDA allows anyone, not just game developers, to write code that runs directly on Nvidia's graphics hardware. Scientists, researchers, and engineers. All of them suddenly have access to the raw parallel processing power that game studios have been quietly hoarding. Wall Street does not understand it. Analysts ask why a gaming company is spending hundreds of millions of dollars building software for physicists and mathematicians. The core business is strong. This looks like an expensive distraction, but Jensen Huang sees something they do not. He understands that a GPU does not render a sunset and train a statistical model using different mathematics. It uses identical mathematics, parallel operations, running thousands of calculations simultaneously. The chip does not know if it is painting pixels or solving equations. It just executes. CUDA plants a flag. It begins by binding the research community to Nvidia's hardware ecosystem, one university lab and one government supercomputer at a time. Nobody calls it a moat. It will take a decade before the world understands what was quietly being constructed. Jensen Huang has spent a decade and hundreds of millions of dollars building a platform for a market that does not yet exist. The gaming business is paying the bills, but the walls are about to close in from a direction nobody sees coming. A speculative fever is about to sweep through the global economy and pull Nvidia directly into the fire. Around 2017, something strange began happening to GPU prices. Gaming cards start disappearing from shelves, The ones that remain are selling for 2 or 3 times their retail price. Gamers are furious. Nvidia's own communications team is scrambling. Cryptocurrency miners have arrived. Ethereum uses a consensus mechanism called proof of work. To earn it, you run millions of parallel calculations, competing against every other miner on the network simultaneously. You need, in other words, exactly what Nvidia's GPUs are built to do. Overnight, consumer gaming cards are repurposed as industrial mining equipment, running 24 hours a day in warehouses from China to Iceland. Revenue spikes hard. But Jensen Huang knows it's a trap. When crypto prices collapsed in 2018, the mining warehouses shut down almost instantly. Hundreds of thousands of used GPUs flood the second-hand market and destroy demand for new cards. Nvidia's revenue takes an immediate hit, and the company is left holding unsold inventory. Then it happens again. The 2021 crypto boom pulls GPUs out of the consumer market a second time. The subsequent 2022 crash buried gaming revenue again, down more than 50% in a single quarter according to Nvidia's own financial filings. The volatility is real, the damage is real, but quietly, underneath all of it, something far more significant has been building since 2012. Something that will make the crypto rollercoaster look like a speed bump on a highway. If this story is already surprising you, subscribe now so you do not miss what comes next, and drop a comment below with your prediction for where this ends. In 2012, a graduate student at the University of Toronto named Alex Krzyzewski entered an image recognition competition called ImageNet. The challenge is this: train a computer to correctly identify objects in 1 million photographs, faster and more accurately than any system before it. Previous competitors use traditional statistical models. Krzyzewski uses something different. He trains a deep neural network on 2 Nvidia GeForce GTX 580 graphics cards. The same kind of cards that gamers were running Battlefield 3 on. The results are not close. AlexNet, as the model became known, cuts the error rate by more than 10 percentage points compared to the previous best result. The gap is so large that the machine learning research community essentially stops and stares. What they realize, slowly and then all at once, is that training a neural network is mathematically identical to rendering a 3D scene. Both tasks require thousands of small parallel operations running simultaneously. Both map perfectly onto the architecture of a GPU. Jensen Huang's decade-old investment in CUDA suddenly makes complete sense. The research community is not merely interested in Nvidia hardware, they are now dependent on it. Every neural network being trained anywhere on Earth requires Nvidia's chip, running Nvidia's software inside a framework built on CUDA. The company that spent a decade being ignored as a gaming card vendor has just become the foundational infrastructure of an entirely new scientific discipline. And almost nobody outside of university labs has noticed yet. The research community knows. The AI labs know. But the rest of the world is still asleep. What happens next is not a gradual awakening. It is a detonation. By 2016, Jensen Huang understood exactly what he had. The research community is locked into CUDA. Every major university, every national AI lab, every government supercomputer project is running Nvidia hardware. Switching to a competitor would mean rewriting years of code and retraining thousands of researchers from scratch. He makes a decision. Nvidia is going to stop being a gaming company that also sells server chips. It is going to become the computing company that also sells gaming chips. The products that follow are not modest upgrades. Nvidia builds the Tesla line, then the V100, then the A100. These are not consumer cards. They are massive computing systems costing tens of thousands of dollars per unit, designed exclusively for data centers and increasingly for a single purpose: training artificial intelligence. In 2020, Nvidia acquired Mellanox Technologies for $6.9 billion, buying the networking technology needed to connect thousands of GPUs together into a single coherent supercomputer. The move goes largely unnoticed outside of enterprise IT circles. Data center revenue surpasses gaming revenue for the first time in 2021. Wall Street begins to pay attention, but even then, most analysts frame it as a positive but incremental development. What they miss is the architecture being stacked beneath them. CUDA is the software moat. The enterprise hardware line is the production moat. The Mellanox networking capability is the distribution moat. Nvidia has spent 15 years stacking dominoes in a dark room. The question is not whether they will fall. The question is whether anyone else will still be standing when they do. On November 30th, 2022, OpenAI released ChatGPT to the public. Within 5 days, it has 1 million users. Within 2 months, 100 million. It is the fastest growing consumer application in recorded history. The executive suite of nearly every major corporation on Earth enters a state of controlled panic. Boards demand an AI strategy. Technology officers are pulled into emergency meetings. Budgets that did not exist 6 months ago are approved in the hundreds of millions to acquire the computing infrastructure required to build and run large language models. There is exactly one problem. There is only one company with the chips that can do the job at scale. Only one company has a decade of enterprise-grade hardware. Only one company whose software the entire research ecosystem is already built upon. Nvidia's data center revenue surged from $4.3 billion in the first quarter of 2023 to over $35 billion by the end of 2024. The market capitalization crossed $1 trillion in mid-2023, $2 trillion in February 2024, and $3 trillion in June 2024. By 2025, Nvidia will become the first company in history to reach $5 trillion in market value. Jensen Huang, the engineer who came within weeks of bankruptcy in 1996, is now running the most strategically irreplaceable company on the planet. Every major government, every cloud provider, every technology company is standing in line waiting for its hardware. But Washington has been watching, and Washington has decided to act. Nvidia has just become the most valuable company in human history. Now the United States government is about to treat its chips as weapons of war. The story does not get safer from here. In October 2022, the United States government made a quiet but seismic announcement. Export controls are placed on Nvidia's most advanced chips, the O100 and H100, restricting their sale to China without a license. The justification is national security. Advanced AI computing in the wrong hands can train surveillance systems and autonomous weapons at a scale never previously possible. The chip has become a geopolitical instrument. Nvidia responds by engineering downgraded versions of its hardware, the A800 and H800, stripped of enough capability to technically comply with the new rules. The Chinese market is too important to abandon, representing a substantial share of revenue at the time. Washington closes the loophole in 2023 and bans those chips too. In 2025, the restrictions will tighten again. The H20, Nvidia's final chip designed specifically for the Chinese market, was banned on April 9th. The US government informs Nvidia that it requires a license for export of H20 products to China, leading to significant excess inventory and purchase obligation charges in a single quarter. The geopolitical logic is brutal in its clarity. The United States has concluded that AI computing power is now equivalent to military capacity. Selling an advanced GPU to a strategic adversary is no longer a commercial transaction. It carries national security implications. Nvidia is no longer simply a technology company. It has become a proxy in the largest technological Cold War in human history, and it has no meaningful ability to choose sides. Here is the detail that keeps the engineers awake at night. Nvidia does not manufacture its own chips. Nvidia is what the industry calls a fabless company. It designs the architecture, writes the software, and builds the ecosystem. But the actual fabrication, the physical act of printing billions of transistors onto a wafer at resolutions smaller than a virus, is performed by one company, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC. Approximately 90% of global advanced semiconductor production is concentrated in Taiwan, manufactured by TSMC. Nvidia's entire product line, from gaming cards to the H100 to the Blackwell systems now powering the world's largest AI infrastructure, all of it is printed in TSMC's facilities. Nearly all of those facilities are located on a single island in the Taiwan Strait, positioned directly between China and the open Pacific. China's government has made its position on Taiwan's political status explicitly clear for decades. This is not theoretical. The United States currently has no domestic capability to replace TSMC's advanced node production in any timeline that matters. TSMC's Arizona facility will help at the margins. It will not come close to replicating the full capacity sitting on the island. Any tensions in the Taiwan Strait would disrupt access to the computing infrastructure that the entire global technology system depends on. If Nvidia's chips are the heartbeat of global AI, TSMC is the organ keeping the heart alive, and that organ sits on a geopolitical fault line that no export control, no government subsidy, and no contingency plan can fully neutralize. The world's most valuable technology company cannot manufacture its own product. Its supply chain runs through a geopolitical tripwire. Its largest market has been cut off. By every conventional measure, this looks like a company under siege. And yet Jensen Huang is not playing defense. He is building something that makes all of this look like a footnote. Nvidia's long game was never about selling chips. It was about selling the infrastructure that everything else runs on. The Omniverse platform is a digital simulation environment that allows engineers to construct exact physical replicas of factories, cities, and industrial systems and software before a single bolt is tightened in reality. BMW uses it to design manufacturing lines. Siemens uses it to model power grids. The platform turns physical infrastructure planning from a slow, expensive, sequential process into something that can be iterated in hours. Then there is the robotics layer. Nvidia's Isaac platform provides the AI foundation for the next generation of physical machines. Not warehouse robots executing pre-scripted paths, but systems capable of interpreting unstructured environments and making real-time decisions. The company is positioning itself as the computing layer beneath autonomous manufacturing, logistics, and industrial operations globally. Data center revenue reached a record $57 billion in a single quarter in fiscal year 2026, driven by 3 simultaneous platform shifts: accelerated computing, powerful AI models, and agentic applications. Jensen Huang describes all of this with a single deliberate phrase: Nvidia is building AI factories, not chips, not hardware. Factories, infrastructure, the industrial base of a new economy. The company that started in a Denny's booth, survived bankruptcy, survived 2 crypto collapses, and survived a geopolitical trade war, has not just won the AI race. It has become the road the entire race is run on. The question is no longer whether Nvidia controls the future. The question is what happens to the world if something tries to take that control away from them.